So just like I said in a prior video, I would be doing commentary on Silicon Valley Bank. And this is something I actually saw coming, I think, a little bit sooner than the general public, and I'll share that story with you later on. You are looking at a help wanted sign. The reason why you are looking at a help wanted sign is because I'm looking for help. So if you're a content creator or someone who is a aspiring content creator and you would like to potentially do YouTube shorts for this channel, go ahead and reach out to me at wolfofbricks@gmail.com. This is going to be a paid position, and if I had to express what my ideal candidate would be, it would be somebody that might already have a YouTube channel or a TikTok channel, and coming over to the Wolf of Bricks YouTube channel would kind of help both people out, right? Something that would be mutually beneficial. But if you don't have a YouTube channel or a TikTok channel, but this is something that interests you, please feel free to reach out to me. I would love to chat with you and see if coming over to the Wolf of Bricks YouTube channel would be a great fit. All right, you're looking at Kohl's.com, and I don't know about everybody watching this video, but I know for myself there are some sets where I'm just kind of on the fence with, right? And this Lego Technic NASCAR set is one of them. I've really never been into NASCAR, although I appreciate that at one time it was one of the most popular sports in the United States. In the movie Days of Thunder, which is one of the greatest movies of all time, I'm really not exactly sure if this is going to be a big winner. I'm not looking for winners, I'm looking for big winners, right? So if this is something that you're kind of on the fence of, or you don't think it will be good, or you do think it would be good, I would love to hear what you have to say in the comment section. That's something that I'll definitely be looking forward to. So this right here is the Zero Hedge website. Zero Hedge is one of my favorite financial websites out there. There's a lot of opinions out there, and that's fine. The title of this article is Aftershock: Life After Silicon Valley Bank, and it's by Tyler Durden. The silent bank run. The banking sector was experiencing a silent bank run well before Silicon Valley Bank made the headlines. Yeah, I would say probably since 2008. Unlike the Great Depression, where lines of people clamoring for their money were blocks long, this bank run is quiet and calm. Almost like quiet quitting a job, I'd say. The interesting thing about this bank run is that this was the quickest bank run that ever happened, because everything was electronic, right? People were just throwing their money into different accounts, and the Fed had to act. It was just crazy. Despite much higher interest rates, banks were not increasing interest rates for most of their depositors. Consequently, customers gradually moved money from banks to higher yield options outside of the banking system. Lego might be one of them, right? This bank run was not necessarily about the risk of holding money at a bank, as it was for the Great Depression, but about the opportunity to earn. And right here shows a chart of people taking their money out, which is just crazy because they're doing it quietly. So this story is just the tip of the iceberg, right? And the reason why I'm commenting on Silicon Valley Bank is because the '08 housing crisis is what kind of essentially got me to this point and why you are watching. I know for myself, I lost money just like everybody else did during the housing crisis, right? But the thing that was amazing to me was how many people just took that beating and moved on, and they acted like nothing happened. They didn't want accountability. They didn't want, anybody going to jail for what happened. They're just fine and happy with losing hundreds of thousands of dollars and then in a couple years going and getting it back. But I know for me that didn't sit well. As far as I was concerned, people stole money from me, right? And it was at that point where I said to myself, I need to find a way to be prosperous, but take my money out of the financial sector, right? So I did what many did during the '08 housing crisis. I read Human Action by Ludwig von Mises. I read Money and Credit, and I also read The Creature from Jekyll Island, which is a story about how the Federal Reserve came about. So between the time I went from reading those books to where I started purchasing Lego, I went in and I started purchasing physical silver, because I learned if you don't hold it, you don't own it, despite what you may want to believe or convince yourself to believe in your mind. Now, the problem with gold and silver is it's not moving as quickly as anybody, not just me, would like. It would be nice if you could just buy a monster box of silver or a monster box of gold, and you could just keep it in the corner of your house, and every year it gains 10%. It just doesn't happen, right? So I said to myself, I need to do something similar to gold and silver so I could be prosperous and I could have wealth that will grow. Hence Lego. So Lego has been very good to me over the years when it comes to reselling and investing. It has similar properties to gold and silver because it is physical. You don't have to worry about some financial guy that you never met in good faith taking care of your money accounts. To me, that's something that is just foreign. I couldn't imagine somebody I've never met taking care of my 401k or anything like that. So over the course of years, when it comes to finance and economics, I kind of made my own doctrine and blueprint to live by, if you want to call it that. And I'll just share it with you. But at the end of the day, I've been able to prosper far more by reselling Lego than I ever could by putting any money into the financial sector. And people are more than welcome to disagree with what I'm about to say, but I know for myself, when it comes to my net worth and prosperity, I have done a tremendous amount of growing financially, and I just couldn't do that if I left money in a 401k or stocks or something like that. So I'm just going to review some of the lessons that I've learned over the last 15, 16 years from the first housing crisis. The first rule is banks are your enemy. They're not your friend. You should never trust them. I've never trusted banks. The deposits that I have in my account are only there to cover my expenses. Any other money that I have, I immediately get rid of it and I purchase something physical with it. And this is basic stuff. Everybody should have learned this from the housing crisis, that money is debt. So why would I want to have a basket full of debt in a bank account? That's terrible. I want to have physical things. I want to have things that are stores of value like gold and silver and Lego. The second rule I've learned is usury will make you less prosperous and has the potential to make you very poor. This is true. There are so many people that are dependent on credit cards and things of that sort. Well, Jim, you use credit cards to finance Lego, don't you? Well, yeah, I use 0% interest credit cards, and usually after a couple of years, those credit card companies catch on to what I'm doing and they cancel my card. They don't cancel my card because I have a terrible credit score. They cancel my credit card because I am abusing and taking advantage of the banks in order for myself to profit from that. And that's something everybody should do. The next rule is something that I said earlier. If you can't hold it, then you don't own it. And that's a misconception that everybody has in their minds when it comes to finances and the relationship with their banks. I own this bar of silver. This is a kilo of silver. I own it because I can hold it. And I used my debt, my Federal Reserve notes, to purchase that silver so I could have a store of value. Another rule that I have is when it comes to putting my deposits in a bank to make sure that they don't vanish or disappear one morning when I wake up, is I choose to put my deposits in the most corrupt banks out there, Bank of America and JP Morgan. These are two banks that the government will absolutely never let fail. JP Morgan actually bailed out the government during the Great Depression in 1929, and the government will always remember that. So I always put my money in the last place that I know will not fail. I don't do 401ks. I think 401ks are silly, but there's company match. I don't care about the company match. I don't care about that $50 or $75 that company match is going to put in my 401k on a monthly basis. That means nothing to me. One of the reasons why 401ks was invented by Congress was so businesses can go ahead and give money to people that have 401ks as a company match, and they could use it as a write-off. I don't for one second believe it's because it's the company that is so gracious and they're doing the right thing in rewarding their employers. Businesses and companies are doing this because they benefit off of it. A much better alternative is a Roth IRA. I don't personally have one, but I do have one for my children for my son and my daughter, and there's a lot of money in there. Those are accounts that the Internal Revenue Service hates because you're not going to have to pay taxes on them when it's time to cash out, and that's why you don't hear about them as much as 401ks. And lastly, this should be a no-brainer. If you listen to snake oil salesmen like Jim Cramer or Dave Ramsey, and yes, I said Dave Ramsey, in the end, you're going to be less prosperous. The funny thing is, I actually listen to Dave Ramsey a lot on the radio, right? I'm in the Dave Ramsey belt of the Midwest, and he was talking this morning as I was taking my kids to school about student loans and student loan forgiveness and all that other stuff. And he's talking about how the virtuous thing is to just pay off your student loans and not wait for the government or anybody to go ahead and pay it off for you because you're being more authentic if you pay off these loans. This is the same person, Dave Ramsey, who was up to his ears in debt when it came to real estate. And in order for him to consolidate his debt, he needed to file for bankruptcy so he could have a lot of those loans cleared out. So there are a lot of snake oil salesmen out there that do not practice what they preach. But getting back to Silicon Valley Bank and what I said at the beginning of the video, where I thought that this is something that might have happened. I have a very close person in my life who actually works for Silicon Bank. They were a contractor, right? And for those people that have been contractors, contracts come and go. It's no big deal, right? The interesting thing was back in November, Silicon Valley Bank did not renew that contract for somebody that is in my life. And I said to myself, that's interesting. To be honest, I didn't necessarily... I wasn't even thinking about the implications of that person in my life not potentially having a job. I was more concerned about Silicon Valley Bank ending the contract because I was starting to get some deja vu and hear things that I haven't heard since 2008. And I said to myself, now this contract is a pretty simple contract. This bank should have enough money for this person to keep this contract, but for some reason they didn't, and that was a little bit of an alarm for me. And then there were a couple other things I'm just not able to get into, and I said to myself, something isn't right. And then next thing you know, boom, Silicon Valley Bank is, being bailed out by the Fed. FDIC is coming in and taking everything. So to me, this is something that was not surprising. This is something that I don't want to say I had a suspicion on, but something didn't feel right. It was echoes of 2008, and I said to myself, this is something I need to bookmark in my head and, pay attention to and see what happens. And then sure enough, a few months, weeks later, all of this happened. So if there's any point to this video, the point should be anytime that there is a financial disaster similar to that or the housing crisis, you need to stay clear of it. And in order to stay clear of it, you need to do the planning ahead of time to make sure that you are not in that wake of destruction. I know for myself, I have virtually nothing in the financial system other than some deposits that are just going to pay bills, and that's it. And I've been living this lifestyle for over 10 years now, and ever since then, I have a lot less stress and anxiety when it comes to the financial markets. That's it, my friends. Hope you enjoyed the video. As always, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Once again, I'm Jim with wolfofbricks.com. Always go out there and get it.